My name is Eric Smith, and this is an excerpt from my pet project, Stories from Q-Ville. Little Brian Pembroke Jr. was a 14-year-old boy who lived on Graining Drive in a wooden house with his mother, Pamela Pembroke, and his little sisters, Paulette and Janandra. His dad, Brian Pembroke Sr., had died in a car accident, so his Aunt Chelsea Pembroke-Scott and her wife, Nineveh, had moved into the basement a few months later. Little Brian was now the man of the house, him and Skeeter, the family's Airedale Terrier. He liked to remember the good times he had had with his dad, like the time Brian and his dad went to Glimmer Hotel and Casino to see Miroslav Zelensky, Q-Ville's championship boxer. Zelensky had defended his title in a 2-round bout against Tambo Tommaso. Tommaso had really long, gangly arms and used a phenomenal right hook that took down many opponents. Zelensky is fast, though, and could take a punch like the champion that he was. Tommaso lost a tooth with his TKO. Brian smiled with a tear in his eye. One of his favorite memories was when his dad took him to work a year ago. Brian Sr. was a gardener at Shrine Enterprises. There was also the time that Brian Sr. rented a helicopter and took Brian Jr. on an adventure to Russell Island. Russell Island is a large floating island that has a bridge leading to a smaller island where helicopters usually park. After they landed, the Bryans and their pilot, Jenna Castillo, had to choose which direction to go. There was the bridge to Russell Island, and another much smaller bridge to Jabu Island. Little was known about either island. There was a ruined temple on Russell Island, and it had a waterfall that opened into a lake on a lower part of the island. An ancient castle stood on Jabu Island. It is said that someone very powerful lived there. Both islands had lush forests. They chose to take the wider bridge to explore the ruined temple. The crumbling structure had clearly been empty for several decades. Nature had reclaimed the walls with vines. There was massive holes in walls and floors, and a large baobab tree grew into the exposed second floor. They didn't go upstairs because Brian's dad didn't want to risk the floor giving way. He didn't want little Brian to get hurt. They did discover a sealed-off door, though. Jenna and Brian Sr. jimmied the door off its hinges. Beyond the threshold there was a vast library. Many of the books were in bad shape, but there were a lot that were fine. Their discovery led to a massive news story. Brian Jr. got to meet General Anaki, the extraterrestrial ambassador of Q-Ville, and King Amadeus gave Brian, his dad, and Jenna the pilot all medals. Books were added to the Q-Ville Public Library.